On this episode, living legend Ray Dalio stops by. Hey everybody, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is episode 275 of the Ask Gary V show, and I'm super fired up about this episode, and let me explain to you why. Knowing my audience, I have a feeling a lot of you are about to be exposed to an extremely interesting gentleman. More importantly, I think he's gonna have disproportionate impact on a sector of you because I do think it's coming from an angle that I would argue has very similar seeds to, I think, what makes me successful, but comes from a completely different angle. And I think that's exactly how you tend to get results. And so, Ray Dalio, please, first and foremost, allow me to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Number one, I'm impressed, and I want to make sure everybody checks this out. You are hustling, which excites me. You are showing up in all sectors, on all sorts of places I respect. Tim Ferriss's podcast, other places of that nature. And then when I look at Bill Gates and Tony Robbins and Arianna Huffington and Jamie Dimon and Mehmet Oz and Reed Hastings, the Rolodex of quotes for your new book, which, by the way, I just told Ray something very important. I do not read, as all of you know. When I make the joke that I've written more books than I've read, I'm getting dangerously close. But the few times I do read is when I'm on vacation between December 20th and the 24th when I go off the grid, and I will be reading this book. So I'm excited. Now, so you guys know, that happens because my team's working with him, and the vibe that Lindsay and Hannah and the rest of the team, Molly, talk about this project continues to build on the fascination that I had when we first met. But the book's buzz, and more importantly, the reaction, because I like to watch people. I don't consume content, but I consume people's reactions. The reactions to the concept of the principles and the book itself has been overwhelming. I feel like you had great ambition for this project when I met you. How has it been going? Before I get into your origin story, how do you feel about the launch of this incredibly important project?
Well, I judge it by the thank yous I get, and on
Yes.
social media, I'm
Yes.
just getting massive amounts all the time. And my goal was to convey to people things that worked in my life. I was very lucky enough, and I don't know, I learned by a lot of mistakes, a lot of things that made me successful. And I wrote those down year by year, all these principles every time I would make a decision. So there was a big bunch of those, and I shared them with a lot of people over a period of time. 3.5 million people at one point on social media downloaded them and got lots of thanks. My goal was to help other people be successful, and the reactions have been thanks and appreciation. So I feel great about it.
So what has been the biggest surprise to the reaction of the book, from whether that is the masses saying X or somebody that you talked about this with privately over the last 10 years said Y, or somebody stopped you in the street, or this one quote that you never expected? Like, as a net score, what has been the biggest surprise to you on the reaction of the book?
Getting the concepts. Okay, so let me just explain the concept.
Please.
Every time I made a decision, I would write down the criteria for making those decisions. So this is a bunch of principles that I've acquired over a period of time. Those people then started to learn the benefit of that. And then it caught on for me in my life, because if I knew those principles and I could communicate with those principles, then I knew that I could communicate with you, if I could have partnership with you, any relationship that I had, whether it's a family relationship or whether it's a business. And then I could build an idea meritocracy, in other words, where the best ideas would win out.
Yes.
So there was a process of building these principles, writing them down, making them clear, and then taking those things, and we built them into algorithms so that we could have the computers make decisions. That whole notion of how to be operating differently with principles, not just with decisions, that I didn't know that I would be able to convey. And now people are starting to think in terms of principles. And I think it has a big effect. Like, what are our principles of our country? Do we have common principles? Do we have different principles? So I was very surprised, or very pleasantly surprised, that people are understanding the linkages about how that systematic decision-making, principled decision-making works.
Were you worried that it took high intellect to synthesize it? And so when you say surprised, pleasantly surprised, you were worried that you wouldn't be able to articulate